Sexual violence, unintended pregnancy takes a toll on women with impairments in Nigeria's northwest. When 16-year-old visually impaired Asia was horrendously gang raped by a group of unidentified assailants under the cover of a thick dark night, little did she imagine that was the beginning of a horror of a lifetime. Because what ensured was a series of painful afflictions that may not have been if her sight were intact. To hide the shame and accompanying societal stigma that would eventually come about from an unwanted pregnancy in that one-night encounter, Asia was presented to a doctor for termination of the fetus inside her womb. But he turned out to be a quack who enjoyed her private area during operation, a situation that along the line got her to contract vaginal cancer and maggot-infested body. Rabi Yusuf Gizawa, National Women Leader of Joint National Associations of Persons with Disabilities, says situations like this takes a toll on many women and girls.
First and foremost, we face a lot of challenges before we even get married. It's not any woman with disability that can easily get a man to be her husband at her teenage.
Asia also does not have access to school. She has put her life on the line to survive, exposed to all manners of dangers, whose of which is sexual violence, but her survival instinct of securing the next meal has jeopardized her life entirely. According to the National Health Service (NHS), vaginal cancers are caused by infections with certain types of human papilloma virus (HPV). According to the Nigerian Discrimination Against Persons with Disabilities Prohibition Act 2018 and the United Nations Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities (CRPD) adopted in 2006 and entered force in May 2008, such crime against Asia and many of her likes whose plight remain unheard of is a violation of their dignity, right, and fundamental freedom which should not go unchecked. Sexual violence against women with disabilities is an unchecked phenomenon in northern Nigeria, said Usaina Umar, the director of Kanawa Foundation for the Disabled.
Persons with disability, both girls and women, they face a lot of all this. It's even beyond your imagination because a lot has been happening. In short, 99% of women and girls with disability, they have been abused.
Over 4,000 cases of sexual violence involving mostly women, girls and persons with disability were documented in Kano in the last 5 years by the civil society organization working with the State Sexual Assault Referral Center, Warakasak. Also, according to the World Health Organization's 2011 World Disability Report, about 15% of Nigeria's population, or at least 25 million people, have a disability. This number is believed to have risen now. Many of them face a number of human rights abuses, including stigma, discrimination, violence, and lack of access to health care, housing, and education. However, there remains a dearth statistics on persons with disability who have suffered health discrimination in the northwest, especially Jigawa and Kano. For 26-year-old Jamila Salisu, a mother of 4, who was not born blind but contracted it as a result of measles when she was 9 years old, the concern in accessing healthcare is the lack of priority for disabled persons when queuing. It is not only her in her family that is visually impaired. Her co-wife and her husband are both visually impaired. This has also impacted their livelihood, but luckily their kids have sight. The chairman of People Living with Disabilities in Jigawa State, Muhammad Usman, feels technicalities, lack of space for PWDs, and face-off with health officials impedes on the rights and dignity of his constituents.
The major thing I want to talk or emphasize on is giving space to person with disabilities if it comes to any planning issues. Because without giving space to us in planning issues to do with the reproductive health and other things concerning living standard of individuals, we will not be having voices to speak out.
Usman, who said reported cases of sexual violence against his constituents is a daily phenomenon, regretted that such cases have continued to remain an issue and prosecution a facet while healthcare remained unfriendly. However, it is not all a gloomy tale. Maria Yunusa, 40-year-old, who ceased giving birth 17 years ago after giving birth to 5 kids, says she has never witnessed any, even though she has never given birth in the hospital. On reaching the Sequoia PHC, this reporter witnessed how a woman with physical disabilities was uplifted by her husband and an attendant into the PHC. Reacting to some of the allegations, the officer in charge of Sequoia Primary Health Center in Jigawa State said sometimes what the PWDs takes offense in is when they try to preach the gospel of family planning to them. He also called on authorities to make hospital beds PWD friendly for use.
Kira da kuma zan ce shawara tunda bana matakin da zan ce umarni kai tsaye. With
many of such challenges, more than ever, the need for a law to guarantee the fundamental freedom and right of endangered persons with disability is eminent in Kano. The amended Persons with Disability Bill is still ongoing. The Speaker, Kano State House of Assembly, Hamisu Chidari, said the second reading has been conducted and the Speaker has submitted the bill to the committee and they are expected to get a feedback after 2 weeks. However, the Discrimination Against Persons with Disability Prohibition Bill was signed into an act on January 23, 2019 by President Muhammadu Buhari, following 9 years of advocacy by disability rights groups and activists. The bill prohibits discrimination on the basis of disability and imposes sanctions including fines and prison sentences on those who contravene it. It also stipulates a 5-year transitional period for modifying public buildings, structures and automobiles to make them accessible and usable for people with disabilities. While there continues to be a dearth of statistics for violation of physically and visually impaired person in Kano and Jigawa, for persons like Asia, justice has remained a foregone alternative occasioned by societal stigmatization, which pushes victims like her to make the wrong choice. As the news continues to tighten around policies and laws, it remains to be seen how can this be implied to prevent an Asia future scenario. Khadija Ishaq Bowers, Kamet TV.